नन्दिनि नन्दितमेदिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दिनुते गिरिवरविन्द्यशिरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरदर्शिनि दुर्मुखमर्षिनि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि किल्बिषमोषिनि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितिश्रुतरोषिणि दुर्मथतोषिनि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते
Hi guys, thank you for joining the live stream. And I'm back after a long time. And we have back with us Professor Christoph Lieselot. Hello, Professor Lieselot. How are you?
चल रहा है भाई.
And
Nobody's happy in Calcutta, as the country knows.
yeah,
So
just for a basic, just touching upon things. So, how do you think the investigations are going, and by when do you think justice will be delivered, and all the rapists, or if that one rapist will be hanged?
I honestly can't comment. I think in West Bengal, because we live in West Bengal, we know that justice is something that you shouldn't expect, right?
Okay.
It's something, if you get it, it's kind of like a bonus in your life, because in considering, if you want information, specific facts, I am not interested, because frankly a lot of people are already have discussed this online, and we're trying to do something else. But it is true that the people who are out on the streets now usually do not come out when horrible cases of human rights violations happen. So I am a bit hopeful during this time that some changes might happen, because typically the people who have come out on the roads this time, they are the elite Calcutta Bhadraloks who do not come out in the roads without any kind of political or economic benefits.
Yes.
So that is my that is my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah. So the first question we'll have today for Mr. Sociologist is kind of related to the topic only. Those of you who joined our membership live stream today will know what I'm talking about, which is a famous historian, Johannes Bronkhorst, who has written a famous book called How the Brahmins Won, which has been recommended to me countless times by Mr. Sociologist himself, which I have not managed to read as of yet. So Dr. Janki Bakhale, in her criticism against Savarkar, uses some sections of Johannes Bronkhorst's thoughts on Brahmins, and claims that it's as if Johannes Bronkhorst has made this argument that Brahmins were seemingly an all-powerful sort of a hydra in Indian society. They have infiltrated everything. They are everywhere, and they are clicking some fingers and creating oppression everywhere, all around. The society runs on everything that Brahmins say. Every line of thread of oppression can be directly connected to Brahmins. Whereas Mr. Sociologist has been educating us on a completely different line of criticism of casteism, but he also draws heavily from Bronkhorst. So what the fuck is going on here?
The primary issue I have with picking random quotes from books and trying to justify points is this, that you miss, like, not you others, everyone misses the actual points of the whole thing. Now if you look at Bronkhorst's book Greater Magadha, and how the Brahmins won. And there's another one. So if you take these books into account, he's trying to basically say that he's actually shattering one very important myth, that Buddhism was a reform movement of Brahmanism.
I
Okay,
see.
because Brahmanism was so horrible that Buddhism had to emerge to save everyone, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And
This
then
is the myth.
Brahmins again took things back. So wo bol
Right.
raha hai, he is
Hmm.
saying that Buddhism emerged in Greater Magadha, which is Bihar and those surrounding areas right now,
Hmm.
where Ashoka's the main area of the Mauryan Empire was.
Hmm.
Brahmanism was around Afghanistan, Pakistan, that area. Okay,
Hmm.
primarily Pakistan ke aspas, maybe a bit more northwest and all.
Right.
Now that's the part that Alexander attacked. So
Right.
his view is that after Alexander's attack, Brahmins more and more, migrated to eastwards, and the Mauryan Empire spread westwards, and like there was an inevitable meeting of Brahmins and Buddhists. Or abhi kya hua, what happened is Brahmins slowly started taking over positions of power and stuff after, but this did not happen overnight. Brahmins were initially, they were very facing a lot of hostilities from Ashoka. Okay,
Hmm.
because Ashoka
Right.
was like all out ahimsavadi and all that, and Brahmins had to do animal sacrifices, so that totally affected their way of life. Okay, and their
Right.
basic rosy roti was in question. So Brahmins
Okay.
had to adopt many Buddhist norms to actually survive. Okay, now this
Right.
leads into broader literature by people like Patrick Olivelle, Knut Jacobsen, about pilgrimage, how Brahmins took over the pilgrimage economy, how Brahmins
I
started
see.
getting land grants and all, etc. All these aspects, these parts, they, you have to understand that these are all connected. This is
And by
Indo-logic.
the way, on our last day's discussion of Max Weber's book, The Religion of India, even Max Weber points out that Buddhists never really took on castes or casteism or caste
If
in
anything,
sense.
wait, if you quote this one, Irfan Habib, whom I'm pretty sure that Janki Bakre
Yeah.
will agree with,
Yeah.
then Irfan Habib is saying caste did not evolve, exclusively with Brahmins. The caste ideology of karmic rebirth, and you are born in a
Right.
bad caste because your life, you committed some sins
Past.
in your past life, and therefore you deserve to be born in a low
Right.
position.
Huh.
That happened uh, due to the fact that Buddhism had this concept of rebirth, karmic rebirth, and that kind of led to Brahmins appropriating it and taking,
I see.
so that justification of birth based, tum nichu ho ki tum ऊंचा हो, ये आया है kind of from Buddhism. And Buddhists
Hmm.
themselves were very pretty racist against tribes and all which ate meat
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Just like vegans are, like you, people like
Yeah.
you. Okay,
Yeah.
how you look down on meat eaters like
Yes.
me. So
Yeah.
वैसे Buddhist लोग, they used to look down on tribals who used to consume meat and stuff. So this
Hmm.
kind of
I don't
casteism
look down upon hunters. Okay. Just for
okay, okay.
jokes apart, for a clarity, I don't
I know,
have
no,
any
no, of course,
problem with
this is
hunting.
just a joke. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, nonetheless, the primary aspect here is that the domination of Brahmins was not some, prerequisite of Indian society. Number one.
Hmm.
Number two is the
Right.
Brahmins also had to struggle against odds, various odds,
Right.
and then they could, they took over. They took over, but they weren't kings. They were
Right.
bureaucrats.
Which Declan
देखो
Quigley
तुम
shows, which Janki
imagine
Bakle's own
if you took
husband shows.
UPSC exams, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you had to take UPSC exams back in the day and you were a really talented group, but तुमको अभी बहुत change करके you are going on taking
Hmm.
whatever. So basically you are trying to enter the state structure, and Brahmins were successful after a point. And why were they successful? Because they went with the emerging guys. Buddhists were already established guys in the Mauryan Empire.
Hmm.
Brahmins went with the more emerging polities. So they got more and more land grants from these newer guys. So they settled in different parts of the country.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Wait.
what happened.
Are you seeing the comment section? There's an interesting debate going on. First is just clarify this, and then we'll get into the a little more juicy point. Then we'll start with the main topic of our live stream today. What is this phrase taking over the pilgrimage economy? What do you mean by
So
it?
Knut Jacobsen says that this concept of pilgrimages did not originally exist within the Brahmanical lexicon. Like what happened is, he's saying that Buddhists had that concept of Gautam Buddha's hair, Gautam Buddha's feet, sandals, whatever. These kind of things were in different parts of the country, so people used to go for pilgrimages there,
Okay.
Buddhists.
Okay.
So when Brahmins saw that Brahmins weren't originally into Murti Puja, they adopted this so that, like, there was a whole economy of pilgrimages where they would serve various kinds of people. So yahan pe bhi caste does not work, because when you are a pilgrimage, when you are a priest in a temple, and let's say some person from outside, tum uska jati pucho, tum Ravish Kumar ho kya, so you will have to serve that person, right? Again, Mahabharat has been repeatedly re-edited. You cannot go by Mahabharat. This is the problem. You have to go by actual academic literature of people who are actually educated in Sanskrit much more than me, and probably more than you guys as well, because this is their rosy roti. Now why we are unable to do so on our own, I don't know. Okay, and if his works were so outrageous, I don't think that he would have been publishing books everywhere. And now again, the left, you have to take from the left. That's what I'm saying. If you try to create your own literature, you have to reach that level where you are an expert in all kinds of Brahmanical text, history, Sanskrit texts, all kinds of historical literature and archival materials. Then you will be able to make some kind of decision. Now
Actually, the problem here is not being it's not even enough to be an expert in the text, because you have to be an expert on when the text were written. If you say that, yeah, this text says this, and you believe it, thinking it's written in 3000 BC, but in fact it was edited in 1400 AD, there lies the problem.
Yes, and this is a problem that even Sukthankar mentions. Sukthankar, who was the head of the founder of this one, Bori, Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, who is well respected even among right wing, left wing, Hindutva, everyone. Okay, now he was like a foremost Sanskritist, right? Now,
Okay.
even he said that there was a editing of the epics, the Mahabharata and Ramayana, in different times to fit
Yeah.
the Brahmanical narratives. Okay, so in
Yeah.
some parts of Ramayana, in the newer parts, you will notice how there is a denigration of Kshatriyas by Brahmins. Okay,
Right.
there was clever editing in parts where Brahmins actually, so Brahmins actually kind of, or sometimes made Kshatriyas look inept and all that. That is pretty much there. If you look at the Mahabharata, it's the present form that most of us read, right? A lot of it is how Kshatriyas were given. Kshatriyas used to fail in their various things, and they used to go to some Brahmin guru or saint, sage or somebody, and they used to then kind of help them out. So this was like a narrative where Brahmins are able to dominate in different ways. But then these were narratives anyway. So again, this is why I don't want to do this without people having read what I read, and maybe because these people sometimes, our people, like the perhaps the indie queen people, they have to, they are so much in defense mode that if something deviates from the same, similar to the left actually in many ways, like uh if you kind of challenge the existing thing, I have faced a lot of flack for this from various people, including some of my family members. So that's the point, that I'm just reiterating what Johannes Bronkhorst and these people are saying. And in an academic debate, we have to use these sources, otherwise we are, we can't challenge the leftist discourse, right? That's the whole thing. You can't play a game of cricket in a field of football where everybody else is playing football,
Yeah.
right?
And
That's
this is
my
what I
point.
have to say about this sentence also, that Prarabdha Karma was a concept before Buddhism existed. But again, the text that says that it existed before Buddhism, that text might have been edited later on, or that sentence might have been inserted later on. That's a later interpolation problem, is forever a problem in every Hindu text. And remember the story
And
of Raja Bhoja
yeah,
criticizing a few Brahmins, saying that when I was this young, there were this many versions of Mahabharata. When I'm this old, there are so many versions of Mahabharata. By the time I'm dead, there will be more versions of Mahabharata. Why are you writing everything and inserting in other texts? Write your own text. Why do you want the validation of your text or your thoughts, your views, opinions getting into Mahabharata only? They are going on writing countless versions of Mahabharata only. So a thousand later interpolations are there.
See, the problem with us is that prarabdha karma, even if it existed, the thing is that I have to go with what most of the established academic consensus is, which again is driven mostly by the left. I agree with all of you. Perhaps they are wrong, perhaps. But right now, you have to win a war using the available resources. If you try to fight a gunfight with a knife, you will lose. Okay. You have to bring your own jo bhi sada hua rusted guns you have to bring, or try to steal their guns, whatever. Again, it does not work that way. Okay. Now Patrick Olivelle is biased and all, that's all fine. Everyone, see, that is the problem. If we know that perhaps they are biased, but do our, literary people, with a few exceptions, maybe notable, some random exceptions, how many people are able to counter this ideological thing? And why haven't, we were free from 1947 technically, right? Now why don't we create our own kind of literature that is respected in the world? It didn't happen because of a number of factors, right? We were a socialist economy. We had to depend on the on socialists for sustenance, this, that, all kinds of things. Now all of this is because of the fact that we weren't developed, and so nobody respected our nobody respected our academia. And another thing is, we ourselves did not respect our academia. We ourselves shunned in many ways the Western forms of academia. We should have taken those over much earlier and started to do our own stuff using more technically sound people. How many pro Indologists do you know? Pro India Indologists do you even know now? Perhaps
I know only Konrad Elst.
And perhaps a few others like Michael Danino and a few others. But that's the whole point. We have to use what we have at our disposal in order to make our own points to counter their own points.
Yeah, and Abhay has made an interesting counter here that there are interpolations in Buddhist texts too. But you see, whatever Buddhism remained in India, they could not have that kind of a hold on narrative or knowledge production as the Hindus did, because we largely outnumbered Buddhists. So whatever their later interpolations, they might have largely become irrelevant. And if not, if their later interpolations are also in fact true, and our later interpolations are also in fact true, so then we have to completely get rid of the discourse anyway. We have to completely ignore it. Just use whatever is good for you in a debate with a commie. That's all you can really be satisfied with then.
At this point, we're just somehow holding on our own. We're not even doing that. Dekho, this is where today's topic becomes important. Why? What form of thought, what thought processes do you have when you are going to promote Hindutva, right? Simply put, if somebody is trying to say that, let's say Brahmanical patriarchy is bad, can you say patriarchy is good? You can't say that, right? You have to make like a lot of this is the same trad wife problem that the Western conservatives have. Okay, they will tell you trad wives are awesome. They will tell you that the left attacks trad wives, very bad thing, excellent. But the problem there is that if you ask a 16-year-old girl, do you want to be a trad wife? I doubt like less than 2% will say yes, I want to be a trad wife. Okay. To appeal to younger people, you cannot have a more conservative push, if that's what we have. Okay, you can't keep saying we were great, because for them they have to create a kind of, they grow up in a world where they are catered to by the left, who says that your life sucks, and everyone who doesn't like to hear their life sucks, okay, who doesn't like to hear the system around them sucks, even Even Ananya Pandey and Suhana Khan will say my life sucks. Okay, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter how what the reality is, because we're not even dealing with reality. We're dealing with perceptions. Perceptions are what change democracy, democratic ideals, democratic results. Perceptions are what run academia. Perceptions are what create all kinds of things. We're talking essentially about perceptions, and if the perception of the people who are young, who are growing up, whose energy is needed for any movement to stay alive and work, then their perceptions are typically from a negative standpoint, and this has been achieved by the left in the last maybe 100 years or so. Now,
Hmm.
how do you counter that? Do you become more conservative? Do you promote trad wife? Do you promote a more traditional way of life, which will not appeal to a lot of people? Like 80%, 90% people will walk out anyway. If you promote
Hmm.
something very traditional, if you tell people, maybe you know what, let's stop using mobile phones and communicate in some other, like what is your traditionalism to be based on, right?
Hmm.
If you keep on saying my traditions were awesome,
Hmm.
then how does it appeal to a person who is thinking in a negative way, who thinks
Hmm.
what has this society done for me? Okay, nobody, because
Hmm.
people don't care what actually is the reality. I keep telling you that, right?
Hmm.
They will go on thinking that the negative stuff is good. So the moment you tell people that patriarchy is there, Indian society is very patriarchal, okay, if you say
Hmm.
this very generic line that everyone says, that will appeal to a bunch of young men and women. Many men also support this thing in hopes of getting getting impressing girls. They will
Hmm.
promote this line of thought. They'll do that
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
then your thing is how to look cool, how to be politically correct enough to look cool.
Hmm.
Now, that's the problem, that this is the playing field right now. How
Hmm.
do you create, how do, and frankly, my other point is that forget traditionalism and its problems, or conservatism and its problems, okay?
Hmm.
uh is Hindutva not a social justice movement? That's my other question.
Actually, I
You
had three questions to begin with. Okay,
Yeah,
I did not
yeah.
get a chance to start it even.
Hmm.
So, what do you think is the Hindutva movement? Is it a conservative movement or a social justice movement? What do you think it should be? And what is conservatism and what is social justice in your eyes, first and foremost?
Okay, conservatism. What is conservative? First, let's define terms, okay?
Right, right.
What is conservatism? Conservatism is, simply put, a belief that the past was excellent, great in some ways, and we should live on the lines of people of the past in some ways. Perhaps not exactly. Perhaps we will not be hunter gatherers, but there was an established family system and well defined roles for everyone in society, often by birth, and you should follow those things, and that will do good for you and the society at large. Okay, this is
Hmm.
what I think of as typical conservatism, and it's the thought processes that come out of it. Now, what is social justice? Social justice is typically, there are historical injustices that have been happening against certain groups, blacks, Dalits, women, whatever, LGBTQ. Then you have because of that, they deserve to be privileged in the modern, postmodern world, and that is why the what they say is more important than what you say.
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, uh, Heterosexual man, perhaps general category, or white man, whatever you say,
Yeah,
is
intersectionality.
is irrelevant
Hmm.
if a trans or a black or a Dalit person says something else.
Hmm.
That point, irrespective of how, whatever wrong or right it has more value than what you have to say,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
this is extrapolated to include so-called minorities like Muslims and Christians in India, okay?
Hmm.
And that's about it. But clearly the problem lies in sometimes that when they talk about minorities of Pakistan and Bangladesh, that does not seem to apply, because it seems that when it comes to the Hindu community, they talk about South Asia, which is including Pakistan, Bangladesh, or India. But when they talk about Muslims, they talk only about India. So they shift the goalpost. But more or less, this is what, you know, this is more or less how I define these things. Now let's move on to the next part.
Yeah.
What
What
was
is
the other
Hindutva,
question?
first and foremost, and what do you think it should be?
What is Hindutva?
Is it a conservative movement or a social justice movement?
In my opinion, it has always been a social justice movement. If you look
I
at
agree.
what Savarkar had written, even I know you were
Yes.
debating about what Savarkar had written,
Hmm.
and you know, some of his books, they depict atrocities on Hindus, right?
Hmm.
And typically, this is the kind of literature that you would find in. Uh, so how do you tell people that you are a victim? You have to write or produce imagery and write or that, you know, this person was being enslaved, this person was being
Right.
beaten up, this person was being
Yes.
oppressed.
Yes.
Now, only, you know, on the basis of that, then you can say that because these people were being oppressed and killed or murdered or whatever,
Yes.
then you therefore privilege that person. So
Hmm.
this is how social justice thought process works. Now look at what Savarkar is writing in his history book. I forget the history,
Yeah.
the name of the book. That is what he's basing his ideas of what Hindutva should include, where he depicts how Hindus were being tortured by colonizers. And by
Yes.
colonizers, I mean not Shashi Tharoor's favorite colonizers. I'm talking about like 1200 CE onwards ka colonizers. Okay,
Hmm.
so whoever was the colonizer, they came here and they oppressed the native population. Okay, the uh, not native, technically they oppressed the Hindu population. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's what Savarkar is saying, and from there you can see why it is relevant that we read somebody like Ambedkar and his treatise on Pakistan or
Hmm.
partition, right?
Hmm.
There also he talks about how the atrocities work. Now a lot of people might say, oh, these are some examples. Perhaps they will produce some instances of atrocities that these people also did on others,
Right.
but that is irrelevant. That is
Hmm.
irrelevant. That
Yes.
is like saying, just because African people enslaved their other Africans, that's why it is justified that Europeans also enslaved them. Okay,
Hmm.
do you guys get my
Yeah.
point? If I'm
Yeah.
saying that slavery is wrong, then some dude says, some Ben Shapiro or somebody says that okay, slavery was horrible, but see, even Africans did it. That
Hmm.
doesn't mean Europeans are supposed to do it. Europeans were right to do it, right?
Hmm.
Same logic applies. I often see right-wing videos by Americans saying that, oh, Aztecs killed their own children. Oh,
Yeah.
Native Americans killed each other.
Each
They
other.
often fought
Yeah.
with each other, right?
Hmm.
So what? That doesn't justify what the Europeans did, right? Because once they took over, they did what is called settler colonialism. They came in, they weren't just fighting for land and money, they were trying to change your whole population ka ekdam nature. They
And
took
it's
over
basic.
everything.
It goes against the basic principle of fucking private property that Western civilization claims to stand on. I
Yes,
have your land now. Fuck off.
yes,
End of story.
exactly. And if, having said that, that means that if, and see, here's the double standard of the left, right? They will say that okay, Native Americans were
Yeah.
violent, so
Oppressed.
Europe, but still Europeans should not take over. But because
Yeah.
some Brahmins were casteist, any Hindus have a right to, you know, get messed up,
Or
right?
no right to
Or
safety.
no right to whatever, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
my point is that this is where the double standards need to be exposed. And double
Hmm.
standard expose karne se bhi nahi hoga. You need to show people what the atrocities faced by this community of people was.
Hmm.
Why do you need to do that? Because only then can you acquire a position of privilege in the present day. और
Hmm.
ये मैं, देखो, आई नो दैट दिस साउंड्स लाइक जोर जोर के बोल के सबको प्लान बता दे टाइप्स थिंग, बट but the problem is that this is not even a some conspiracy theory. This is
Hmm.
basic logic. You
Yeah.
the if you can't say anything against people who are considered to be low or downtrodden in today's society,
Hmm.
right? And they have
Yeah.
changed the rules. They have changed the rules.
Yeah.
Earlier it was perhaps okay, but now it's no longer okay to crack a joke which stereotypes women, stereotypes Dalits, stereotypes
Right.
blacks,
Right.
Muslims, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Wagara, wagara. So that means that's why repeated literature is produced by these groups or
Yes.
their advocates to repeatedly show that they are the victims of
Yes.
some ancient Brahmanical or some ancient person who was horrible. So
Yeah.
therefore they deserve privilege. So अब तुमको
Yes.
privilege मिलना है, so you have to
Hmm.
play this game where you have to appear to be oppressed, and
Of
you were
historical
and
injustice.
yes. So social justice is actually a power grab, to be very
Yes.
honest. But if anyone
Yes.
and everyone can do it, if people who colonized this land for 800 years, apparently 800 years, if they can say
Yeah.
that we are the oppressed minority of this country and we have no resources, so what is stopping you from doing it? You just
Right.
if anything, considering even the recorded literature of the 20th century, where you have Great Calcutta Killings, Noakhali, and various other aspects of
Hmm.
um, what happened to these people, that 1 crore, more than 1 crore people had to cross borders from new
Yeah.
lands that were created out of old lands and settle in different parts of India in shanties and in horrible living conditions. Now
Yeah.
these were the so-called oppressors of the
Yeah.
people who actually kicked them out. Then you have actual recorded evidence of what, and honestly, if we dig deep enough, we'll find thousands of temples being destroyed and all that stuff. So you have an actual proof of your oppression, the oppression that was meted out to you, on you, right?
Hmm.
If that
Yeah.
exists, then nothing else can rally people so well. Why do
Hmm.
you think Ram Janmabhoomi worked? Because somebody said that, bro,
Yes.
somebody broke your temples and took over that land,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If that is the only reason that became that street power movement that it was.
Yes.
You can't keep saying, bhai, we built Bluetooth, we built laptops, we built planes. Nobody gives a damn if you build a plane in 5000 BC. Nobody
Yes.
cares. Okay,
Yes.
it will not rally anyone. No young people. It won't even rally us. Okay, how do I care if some dude build a plane? Who cares? I travel by Indigo, right? I don't care. I So it doesn't matter. My point is, what really matters is the fact that you were oppressed globally, in fact, not even just locally, not even just in the so-called South Asian region. You
Hmm.
have been oppressed in different countries in different ways, including
Yeah.
Canada right now, from what I hear, right?
Right. Exactly.
Now there's actual racism against you, there is
Yeah.
actual violence against you. Then you should simply adopt it. You should spread the word. Now how will you spread the word? If you say
Wait. Before
yeah,
that strategy, I have to ask one question that is will be kind of a gist of what Mr. Socialist is asking. M Shastri is asking here. I'll just take
yeah,
2 3 questions at the same time. Okay, they are basically the same question. That how do you bring accountability to academics? If academics insist they have canon interpretations, then shouldn't they be held responsible for those interpretations? And then M Shastri also said that Shoptoshi also said that. Someone called Mishra has said that such junk can be published only from Harvard and never from Chokhamba or Motilal publications. And then M. Shastri had also said that why should we trust academics are right. Academics get lots of things wrong. And also Shaptoshi is saying which is abject stupidity given the tradition is more trained than them in basics, as has been shown by Nityananda Mishra in his review of Pollock and Goldman called Great Indologists. Now here's my question that uh, uh, anyone following traditions does not have to be necessarily correct in everything about history, because training in history is not the same as training in a practice, because then every goddamn street corner general physician would not recommend anyone from ages 21 to age 80 that just go for an evening walk. No fucking doctor recommends that you start working out. How is that? They are supposed to be doctors. They know everything. No, they know fucking nothing about nutrition. Okay. But my question is, what if actually Shaptarshi is right? What if Abhay's counters are right? And we know that academics get things wrong so damn often. There are so many commie academics who are saying absolutely insane things. Then do we just ignore that they are saying the wrong things and move on in a way of let's say believing something in our heads differently and using these talking points as a debating measure, as a debating strategy to win the battle in the academia? Or do we really take academics seriously all the time?
This is the thing.
Because and just to appeal to an authority for a while, Jay Sai Deepak has said the same thing about 3 years back in an interview in a packed auditorium in DU, that some guy was asking that how am I supposed to prepare for IAS now after the things I know from your books? And he says that I'm not going to say these things too directly, but just find a way to pass the exams. Know things in a parallel way in your head, write other things down that you need to do in order to pass.
Yahi to see I mean, I love Jay Sai Deepak for a reason, man. He's awesome. But that's what I am saying. Play the game, bro. I mean, we're already late. Harvard was Harvard because they have crores of money. Okay.
No, but then are you then absolutely stamping on that emotion only, that think something else in your head and write something else down?
No, I'm not.
Or would you go far ahead and say that?
Saying that. I am saying there are chinks in the armor. Okay. There are problems.
Whose armor?
Even let's say the academic, the leftist narrative, right? They have also considered some things that actually help us out. I'm saying find that stuff.
True.
Like what you're doing with Weber and other people, Quigley and all, who have done respectable work within that framework. Jaise Bronkhorst paro. Don't deny Bronkhorst and say I won't even look at Bronkhorst's face. Okay, read it. If you can find a mistake or two in that, excellent. Do that. Wonderful. Publish a paper. You know how to do all that. It's easy actually these days.
Yeah.
My point is very different. It's not about rejecting wholesale these guys. It's about, if you have to learn football again, तुमको फुटबॉल ही खेलना है क्योंकि मैच फुटबॉल का हो रहा है.
Right.
You have to play football, you have to learn football. You have to look at some guys, that the football players are cheating. Maybe a Maradona's using his
even
hands.
The match is rigged first and foremost. First of all, we are not even playing football, and the match is rigged also.
Goal with his hands, right? That's fine, but he's Maradona. So he can get away with a lot of stuff. Maybe not even then, but whatever. He got away with it. My point is that even if they are wrong, they can get away with it simply because if you can leverage their arguments against what the basis of their arguments is, right? So why do I use Bronkhorst? Why do I talk about Bronkhorst? Because Bronkhorst actually breaks a long-standing leftist tradition himself, using whatever you consider wrong, but he is doing that to help our cause only in the long run, right?
And even unknowingly.
Perhaps he totally hates, and maybe you even get it. He does not like Brahmins at all. Okay.
Yeah.
My point is, you have to use that to defeat another guy who says that Buddhism is actually an improvement on Brahmanism.
Exactly.
Some white dude who has published books from Brill has said that Buddhism and Brahmanism never even met. And ye hua hai. Right. Now you can see, that's how you slowly, it's baby steps, but you have to win it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
very subtle, nuanced strategies. We have to act like a scalpel and not a blunt instrument, because we don't have the liberal privilege that they have. Don't think for a moment that you have any liberal privilege. We will have to work extra hard.
Dekho.
And be extra shrewd.
Jay Sai Deepak wrote brilliant books, right? That guy, the Vikram Sampath, wrote great books.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Try going to a university and citing these in your papers.
That is exactly what Shaptarshi is pointing out here. That we have been refuting them for 200 years. Bhosri ka to sun nahi rahe, to hum kya kare? Dosh to hamara nahi hai then. Actually, dosh hai because
Nahi.
you did not figure out the game then.
Exactly. That means you've been playing cricket and getting good at cricket. You might be
Right.
you might be Sachin Tendulkar, but Sachin
Hmm.
Tendulkar को football World Cup भेज दो तो वो हार जाएगा ना, because football
Hmm.
is played by other guys with a different uh, skill set and a different kind of a game, right?
Yes.
Sachin cannot win an MMA match.
Yeah.
Imagine Jamaila, he goes to an MMA match. So that's the whole point. You are good at what you do. That's fine, but academics in a modern Western world, which is Western world, by the way, we are talking on
Right.
laptops or phones. We're using the social media. We're talking of we're using English as a means of communication throughout in different parts of this country. There are bound to be colonial uh, colonial influences in our thought process, and we
Hey,
were a
today
colonist
Bakle made
people.
that same argument again, that Ashish Nundi argument, that why is Savarkar sounding a bit European nationalist here?
हाँ,
Uh,
सावरकर भी तो यूरोपियन नेशनलिज्म से इन्फ्लुएंस था. I mean,
and Bakle, in fact, makes the criticism a step further than Ashish Nundi, that Savarkar was being too shrewd when he used Sanskrit to criticize caste. Meanwhile, Bakle is writing in English, which is not remotely her mother tongue.
exactly. And the other point to make here is that
Sorry, one more
Savarkar,
interpretation. Sorry, one more interruption. So you see, Bakle is mainly pissed off with Savarkar because Savarkar figured out the fucking game.
yes, Savarkar was like an OG football player. That's why they took him out. Why do you
Yeah.
think they put him in jail for so long?
Completely disappeared from the scene.
Yeah, why do you think they knew this guy is more dangerous than, I don't know, than some random dude who's saying that plane banaya tha 5000 saal pehle. They know he figured out the game. Why did he go to England to study law? Because he wanted to understand ये लोग क्या खेल रहे, फुटबॉल खेल रहे हैं. जैसे लगान में देखो, लगान में you have to use that example. Those guys had to learn cricket. They didn't say यार गिल्ली डंडा खेलो, ब्रिटिश लोग आके गिल्ली डंडा खेलो, हम 3 गुना लगान नहीं देंगे. You could never do that. The British challenge you to a game. You have to learn cricket fast, and then you have to play cricket and then defeat them. You have to play along their rules, and they were cheating, and that's fine, right? My point here is that if the left itself is breaking down their own arguments because they are the status quo now, like academia is a constant process, right? So they themselves are challenging their own earlier held beliefs.
They are bending. Why is Bakle writing a
Yes.
book on Savarkar? Why is Anandarup Sen criticizing Jesai Deepak's book, sitting in fucking South Africa? Why is that professor who was portrayed in Kashmir Files as well now saying not such incendiary things and saying kind of things we can actually agree with even? Remember that sociology lecture in Hyderabad University which we reacted to?
Exactly, and look at it this way. So I think Abhay makes a very interesting point here, that it's to capture institutions by using political power. No, I'll tell you why that won't work. Because if you guys go to this thing, if you guys go to OP India, that guy said that BJP, after coming to power, there were many recruitments of people. So in effect, there are a few 100,000 people. BJP has perhaps 80% of its cadres right now in Delhi University, in the students' unions. That doesn't mean anything, because when they tried to put Manusmriti there in the syllabus, they had to backtrack on it within a day, right? Within a few hours, right? My point is this, that वो takeover करने से नहीं होगा. You have to become the oppressed. That is the point. Subalternity has been privileged so much in modern day, in the postmodern world, that only the subaltern are the privileged. That's why do you think there's such a race to be Dalits or OBCs? Why do you think every caste wants to now be a part of the OBC? पहले सब बोलते थे हम क्षत्रिय है, ब्राह्मण है. Everyone used to claim to be Brahmin or Kshatriya. Now everyone claims to be Dalit and OBC, right? So there's a whole. So it's about the incentive structure. Now, the more oppressed you are, the more power you have.
Yeah, but allow me to criticize your nitpick your statement a little. Takeover is important. Takeover with dumb fucks is not the thing we should do, which has been done by BJP. Takeover is important. Takeover with people with no fucking credentials. who are not going
Yeah,
to be taken seriously. They are being put
yeah,
in positions of power. That's the problem.
precisely. And dekho, again, I agree with Abhay here. Positions of power need to be taken over by social justice. I agree. But yes, social justice argument करने के लिए ना, you have to have 100 sources that are mostly leftist, or
Yes.
or your methodology needs to be leftist. Your
Yes.
understanding of the situation needs to be leftist.
Yes.
वैसे आजकल I am leftist actually. I no longer I am not even indie wing. I am left wing because see, because pani pilo. So yeah, before I choke you online using water, my
Yeah.
point is that uh being why is Hindutva not a leftist movement? We have what are Native Americans? What are Native Americans doing? Native Americans को कौन सबसे ज्यादा रिप्रेजेंट करता है अमेरिका में? Democrats, right?
Yeah.
So why is it so? My point is that if the left is talking about the rights of people who are were supposed who are the original owners of those lands in America, right? So we're making a very similar argument ourselves.
I thank this guy Rishi for making the brilliant point that we were about to go into anyway. He is getting the same thing wrong that Rebecca Barsev got on her podcast wrong when she invited me as well. And what I also got wrong when you first said this to me, and also what, okay, will not take his name. So the point is, Rishi, what you are seeing Zionism as today is that I'm first and foremost making the claim that social justice way of approaching this is the way to win people over. It is the proselytization weapon. After they have joined your fold, then you can be a conservative. Okay, conservatism stands on the shoulders of social justice movements. That's what I'm claiming. Now, what you'll have to notice about Zionism is that what Rebecca Barsev also did not get, but later on I gave another example, and then she kind of agreed with me, that today's Jewish people are beneficiaries of Zionism acting as a social justice movement. Let me give you two examples. Why is every bad human being in every fucking context all over the world called fucking Hitler? Not Aurangzeb, not Stalin, not Karl Marx, not Mamata Banerjee, not Jyoti fucking Basu. Why is he Hitler specifically? Because Jewish billionaires funded the Jewish story, the oppression of Jewish people through academia by funding it. It was a social justice movement that see what injustices happened against us, and now we want justice, and that never again. Okay. Second example can be that let's say wait, I forgot the point, but can you pick it up? I'll just remember the second point and come back.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you basically said what I wanted to, but I'll just go a step forward. Like, what kind of words do they use? Right? Never again. Right? Which means something bad happened to them. So, or nahi hoga. Right?
Sorry. I remembered. Please hold on to your thoughts. I remember this.
Yeah.
I remembered my second point. Second example that Zionism is in effect a social justice movement is that they are fucking laser focused on only Jews. Because remember, Romanis were also had things shoved up their ass by Hitler. Okay, Jews never gave a shit about Romanis. They had to be focused on Jews, because if you try to pretend to not have any boundaries, walls and stuff, then you fucking end up helping nobody, which is what Zionists never did. They were absolutely laser focused, and that's how they achieved. And today, all the success of Zionism you see today is because that they are already standing on 80 years of social justice, which is why actually Jewish billionaires were caught napping. This is also something I said on Rebecca Barsev's podcast, that Jewish billionaires were funding that same kind of language for Jewish people. They funded those professors to say those things in those ways for Jewish people. The professors, without directly informing or making a hullabaloo about it, 2008-9 onwards, start saying the same things about everyone except Jewish people, and except Hindus actually, and Christians. So today Jewish billionaires are now fucking flipping on these universities and threatening to boycott these institutions and taking away their funding, because they are seeing that the weapon they have funded, the weapons they have actually given these academics, those same weapons are being used against Jewish people. So what we can observe here is that the weapon remains the same for every group. Only Hindus have never used it. Exactly. And actually Hindus have used it even unknowingly. Why is anyone getting convinced of Savarkar, he is noticing in a social justice way of thinking only. What convinced me, first and foremost, from Land of Seven Rivers of Sanjeev Sanyal, or any speech by J. Sai Deepak that converts a commie today, okay? That, oh my god, bad things happened against Hindus. What the fuck? I didn't even know this. And after that comes those facts that yes, we had a great person called Chanakya in our history. But the first thing that shocks to your very core, that is what moves the needle. That is what converts you. And that is that I had no fucking clue that these things happened with Hindus. Therefore, I want to protect these people. That is the thing. That is the emotion we are talking about here.
And precisely where I want to pick up from there is that look at it this way. If you like, I keep telling people that at heart it is okay to be kind. People promote, like, this is all slave morality thing working in society through various kinds of Abrahamic forces and stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
you have to read a bit of Nietzsche
Yeah.
to understand that. Now, and that's fine, you can read Nietzsche. Even if you watch some videos online about Nietzsche, it will help to understand.
We'll
what I'm
start
trying to
soon.
say.
We'll start discussing Beyond Good and Evil soon.
Yeah, please do. It will be very helpful for everyone. So what I'm trying to say is, because of the establishment of more Abrahamic modes of thought, which were, imagine again, all of Abrahamic movements were social justice. Okay, almost each and every one.
That is René Girard's point, that every religion prior to Christianity was written from the POV of the winners in the society. Christianity becomes the first religion where the religion started from the POV of the scapegoat of the society.
Yes. And look at it this way, even the Jews, the Exodus thing, the tales we know, the stories we know, they made films on it. They made films on how horrible the pharaohs were, right? They made films on how horrible the Nazis were. You will not, even if you have some sympathy for Nazis today, you will get kicked out of most most places, right? You can't defend a Nazi ever.
Any legit place.
Even in most, even right-wing circles, you will not get away by defending Nazis. Okay.
Yes.
So why is this? Because it is accepted as a fact now that Nazis were evil. Why were Nazis evil? Because they were killing Jews. Communists also killed Jews under Stalin. But the portrayal of the villain was always Hitler, mostly. Right. Christian nations also treated Jews horribly. The Middle East, we all know the Middle East, how it works. But I guess more stuff wasn't made on those guys. That's why.
And in fact, the same people. Yes. And the same people behaved badly against Jewish people. Those same retired military veterans who fought a war against Nazis. When a Jewish guy becomes their neighbor, all of a sudden they're spooked.
Exactly. And here's the problem, that why do Jews have exactly. So ye jo origin story of the Jews is because of the Egyptian thing. That whole thing drives this race of people, right? These people who are fighting for their lives, but having said that, they are able to do what they are able to do because they have that feeling that we have been beaten up by everyone and now our back is against the wall. If you're in a war and you realize you are in the war, you will try to fight. But but if you're not in a war, you think that everything is hunky-dory, everything is awesome, I make TikTok videos and I'm happy. Then you will never be able to defeat the people who are trying to fight against you. Right?
Yeah.
And that's where the thing comes from, that why Hindutva, in my opinion, is a social justice movement. And the people whose texts work,
Gramsci.
Ram.
Yeah, I thought you were saying Gramsci.
No. I mean, Gramsci's methods are interesting. Gramsci talks about this, the how to take over the ideological aspects of any movement. The ideology छोड़ के तुम movement को sustain नहीं कर पाओगे. Okay. And that part is something that I think Marxists, like classical Marxists, got wrong. Anyway, having said all that, my point is that Ram Swarup, Sitaram Goel, all these people, they were writing from that perspective, that when I became a victim, I realized that I am a big Hindu. When do you realize you're Hindu? When you are attacked. Okay.
Yeah.
For your way of life, for your name, for your surname, for some taga on your hand, for some
Right.
sacred thread on your shoulder, then when you get attacked, you realize you're a Hindu. This has
Yeah.
always worked. When
Exactly.
Jews wore those caps, right, the
Yeah.
yarmulkes,
Yeah.
then they were attacked. Then they
Yeah.
realized, अरे भाई ये मैं कैप पहन रहा हूँ इसलिए मार रहे हैं मेरे को. That's why
Yeah.
they're
For the
putting
first time, I felt proud to be a Bengali is when I got beaten up for being a Bengali by Nepalis.
See that works, and that's the whole point. And but here's the other thing. Like today's world, perhaps there is no outright. You're not seeing partition happen every day, right?
Right.
That thing happened. Now, how do you motivate people who are again victims right now, in different parts of this country and different parts of the world, even, that you are a victim? How do you convince them? They are victims, but they are unaware of their victimhood. How do you do that? You do that through literature that is acceptable to the left, because their thought process has already been taken over by the left. They have been colonized by the left. But left may be, there are people like Bhagat Singh, Ambedkar, and others. If you suggest somebody like Savarkar, if you tell a college kid who's just entered college that bro, Savarkar's books are awesome, I think you should read them, he'll first call you a nut job and run away. Okay. Now, what you must do is, if you push a book like Pakistan or the Partition of India, which is a very factual and nice sociological analysis, right? And it basically predicts the future, because he wrote it in 1940 and 42, and partition happened in 46. So he predicted the future. Ki ye hone wala hai bhai. Ye hone wala hai. And nobody took him seriously. But my point is that you can tell people that, see bro, this guy Ambedkar, he predicted the future. He was a genius, right? And they say, Ambedkar is a genius. My college dada, who is tells me about Lenin all the time, he told me Ambedkar is a genius. Ambedkar is awesome, right? So let me read this book, right? And that's what happened to me, actually. That's what happened to me also, in some way. That's what happened to you.
Right.
Like, that's how you come across this stuff. And once you come across a book like Pakistan or the Partition of India, your whole world is shaken. Okay? Your whole world is shaken, because
that even Ambedkar, even Bhagat Singh,
exactly, people who are supposed to be the paragons of secularism in this country, they wrote books like that. And that's what you must do. I guess that's what you have to do. And that's why I've been begging people to translate Ambedkar's few works of him, which are popular works also. Even if you do a collection of his essays, like in short form, in regional languages, and read them out loud in YouTube, because people stop reading nowadays. So but whatever, the reading public, they will read an article on Ambedkar also.
Bengali vernacular language politicians and grassroots workers, only when they hold street side meetings and stuff, instead of blabbering about how great BJP run states are and how bad West Bengal run states are, how about throwing in some Ambedkar there in every few fucking sentences? That's what commies do. Every fucking few 3-4 sentences, they will say what a great country Soviet Union was, even though it's destroyed 30 years ago. What happened in Russia? What did Stalin do? What great things Lenin said? We are supposed to do that.
Rudronil Ghosh was there, Rudronil Ghosh, who's now joined BJP. He said that, why I got sick and tired of the CPIM. Sometimes that backfired, but we're not even talking about those things. So,
but it backfired 80 years later.
So no, why it backfired, I'll tell you later. So where he said, the roads are broken in our area. They will tell you how it's a conspiracy of America that the roads in your mohalla are broken. Okay.
Yes, and that succeeded for so many years.
Then you say that, okay, bhaiya, the hospitals here are horrible. The doctors don't come. Then it says, in Cuba, the hospitals are really good. Okay.
Yes.
So they'll divert your attention. But the point
and I have had this thing said to me exactly in that statement just 1 year back from a commie childhood friend of my father's. We were debating politics just when he's getting going. He got up to leave our house. He was going home. We did not have a fight really. He kind of admitted that communism has not really worked everywhere. He said just one thing, that maybe we as human beings have not been adequate enough to apply Marxism properly. It's not Marx's fault. It's not Marxism's fault. We as humans have failed Marx. So complete deification to ho gaya. But
Yeah.
the very last thing he said is that I said that yeah, see, all these countries are failing, even Cuba, Venezuela, etc. He said, wait. What's the problem with Cuba? They have such great healthcare. So I said, okay, what kind of healthcare forces someone to go on a raft and sail across to USA? He did not answer and then left our house. It's a famous talking
For
point.
good, I guess.
Yeah.
My
No,
point
no
is,
problem.
no, defeating the left requires some, sometimes it requires playing some weird games. So
Yeah.
once some commie told me ki bhai, Kerala, why is it that the highly educated people of Bengal and
Right.
Kerala vote for the left? A
Right.
typical rubbish,
Tamil
right?
Nadu. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I guess the literacy rate in Kerala is really high, but so are the number of people joining ISIS. That's the highest in this country from
Hmm.
Kerala. So
Hmm.
I guess the education system didn't really work there.
Yeah. The
And
academic bar to entry to into ISIS is probably too high. That's why it's succeeding only
हो
in
सकता
Kerala.
है, हो सकता है. They don't take uneducated
Yeah.
people in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
institution.
Yeah. Even
So
they have understood academic capture apparently.
no,
They only
I
take
mean,
people with high
if you are
credentials.
to believe Deep Haldar's recent podcasts,
Hmm.
then the Jamaat is actually doing that in Bangladesh, by the way. With
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I will not talk too much about Bangladesh here. My
Yeah.
point is that where was I? Yeah. So another lefty one time told me that you know this thing. We're trying to institute minimum wage. So I
Hmm.
was like, but if you do that, do you pay your servant minimum wage in your house?
Hmm.
So he was like,
Hmm.
no, but in Kerala they've instituted this law. I'm like, yeah, but Kerala has, according to the Hindu newspaper, Kerala has one of the highest unemployment rates in this country. So I was like, who are you going to employ to give minimum wage to?
Hmm.
Now the left, you have to maneuver with them, but my point is you have to give sources that are friendly to them. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but they own the
They have liberal privilege. We don't.
we don't. And
Yeah.
because we're still outsiders to this intellectual ambit,
You're
so
right.
called. They are not educated. Again, I'm not going to say they are highly educated. They are
Hmm.
dumb themselves, but they will pretend like because they watched a random Dhruvra TV video that they know everything about this world, right?
Hmm.
I've been told about the benefits of socialism by white Americans who have
Hmm.
never seen anything, and we have grown up under actual communism and socialism. But
Yeah.
apparently, a white guy in the US, in New York, who's done one college course on socialism or whatever, and he knows better than all of us collectively in West Bengal about how socialism works. And then
Yeah.
he's just going to say, "Oh, Jyotiba Sud wasn't a real socialist."
Yeah.
So the problem is that you need to kind of bend. You need to bend the bar. You need to. And my other point is, this is why I don't debate much on economics, because economics and all this, all that aside, bhai, look at what Ambedkar showed you in his book, right? It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor. What matters is your name when you're gonna get messed up, right? So
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. That's
Yeah.
what happening to Bangladesh. In Bangladesh,
Yeah.
people of all castes are who are running away from Bangladesh, still are.
They are
Now
being made
my
to resign
point,
and stuff.
yeah, right now people are being made to resign from their jobs. Why is it?
Hmm.
They're looking at your name and deciding that you're not one of them, right?
Yeah.
Now my point is, this is why, economic debates aside, you should always bring the debate back to whether you, as a person with a non-Arabic, non-European surname, are
Yeah.
deserving of your life, which people do not deem to be fit in different parts of this South Asia, right? In Pakistan, in Bangladesh, people hear your name, somebody of a similar name as yours, and they decide you're not worth it. You're just gonna be cannon fodder for today. That
Hmm.
is where we must bring the conversation back repeatedly, and
Yeah.
that's why it will work. And that's why you need some statistical data, perhaps from Bangladesh and Pakistan, some people like Ambedkar who have made a point for you, some others like Abdul Barkat and all. But the
Yeah.
point is, you have to bring it back to that, because see, the biggest problem is that it's not about proving facts, it's about proving whether it's about proving whether you are oppressed or not. It's not about the facts. It's about oppression.
Yeah.
And
And frankly,
remember one thing.
Ambedkar's, yeah, go on.
Remember one thing. If Brahmins, so one of somebody who's an expert on caste in India, I spoke to one of these people, and I was like, so he told me of this phenomenon called mandal and kamandal. So typically these things were seen as separate, right? Like mandal means OBC, SC, ST, and kamandal means the general caste Hindus who are pro Hindutva, pro BJP, these kind of people, right? Now, this guy told me that a new thing is mandal and kamandal. I was like, how is that? So he said that actually, you see, the lower castes are actually quite obsessed with their own oppression at the hand of other people of other religions. And I was like, is that true? Because the left keeps denying that. They say Jai Bhim, Jai Bhim. But he said that what happens is, when he asked them that, bhai, what do you think about Brahmins? They were like, yeah, Brahmins may have been bad, but they oppressed us 2000 years ago. I don't remember that. My point is, till 10 years ago, I was oppressed in Bangladesh. That's why I ran away here. Right? Or Pakistan, I was oppressed. That's why I ran away here. Wahan pe Jai Bhim ne kaam nahi kiya. So the whole, or my area is right beside a so-called nice, peaceful area. So I have had to run with my family, or I am under constant fear for my family, because I live in a basti right near that area. So these things actually matter more for those classes, the so-called the left's favorite children, the Dalits,
yes,
whom they love so much. But these Dalits, when interviewed, when spoken to, properly, and if you can take it out, then you can tell them, then you can see how you can see where this oppression by certain kind of totalitarian ideologies is coming from in our lands in South Asia. When I say South Asia, I mean all of it taken together.
Akhand Bharat,
Akhand Bharat.
Yes.
Who are the oppressors in this thing? Is it the 5% or 4%? If you take Akhand Bharat, then like 2% or 1% Brahmins who perhaps had a few government jobs back in the day, or is it somebody who has decided that, oh, I want my own land, so I'm going to kick you out of it by force? Who are the people who have oppressed you more in the recent past? Right? It's that, and that is where we must bring back the problems, which is where we must bring back the conversation.
Yeah, and remember, what you are talking about is just on the realm of culture, but this is the exact same problem in the realm of economics as well. It is free markets that alleviate people from poverty. It's not socialism. It's the exact opposite of what commies are claiming and academics are claiming.
No, so this is where commies, this is how, like I kept telling you guys on our various podcasts, right, that communism is feudalism resurgent. Communism is just nothing but feudalism, but feel-good feudalism, feel-good Nazism. Okay?
Yeah.
Communism does the same things that Nazis and feudal lords did. In fact, I think Nazis were even better at some economic stuff than commies. Commies will
demonetize ho jabe my channel.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm just saying Nazis were horrible, but commies.
Yes.
Commies. The difference between the feudal lords and commies is that commies apparently talk about the the poor people, whereas feudal lords did not. But they are doing the same kind of oppression. They're just saying that they care for poor people. So
yeah, by the way, go on.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
a similar kind of criticism we found today in Janki Bakhle's book against Savarkar. She is nitpicking specific word choices, specific tonalities in some random essay by Savarkar, and basically making the claim that yes, Gandhi, Ambedkar, Savarkar were all against caste, but see, Gandhi and Ambedkar were against caste in such beautiful ways, in such with such moral basis. What is she basing that claim on? On their flowery fucking language. She's basically saying Savarkar did not flowery enough language. Therefore, I think his intentions are sus. But what I want to point out here is that today's comment section is, I think, the most beautiful and most juicy comment section we've ever had in my channel ever. This is the most constructive discussion we are ever having. And so now coming to the point made by Rishi here. So interestingly, he was the first one to point out that why are you saying it's a social justice movement? See, Zionists are doing it in a different way. And then I made my point. And now, see, he has made a point that with which I absolutely agree. He's saying, so the fulcrum is the social justice movement. I want to ask for Hindus, will the economic power come before, after, or at the same time with social justice movement? Rajiv Malhotra criticized lots of Hindu billionaires for not doing it. And see, I have some disagreements with Rajiv Malhotra, but he understands the exact same problem. He is going on saying to Hindu billionaires that why are you funding these people? Why aren't you funding other kinds of people? And no one's going to listen to him. Rajiv Malhotra may not be the right guy to put at a position of power in academia, but he's asking for the exact same thing that we are asking. He has found out the problem. He has diagnosed the problem properly.
No, exactly why I think Rishi has hit the nail on the head, and so have you. That economic power, hone se, see, Hindus are atomized individuals mostly. Okay, Hinduism was so pluralistic because everyone had their own kind of ideas about how to get divinity, how to reach the gods, and what
or
kind
different
of
sampradayas at least.
Yeah, many ways of thinking and whatever. So my point is, we were already like very pluralist, multicultural, democratic. We were all that. But if I tell people we are pluralist, multicultural, nobody gives a damn, right? What we have to do is we have to bring the focus back to what actually we face, right? And that is where because of our inability to do so in the past, maybe 100 years or so, that perhaps we did it originally, like people like Savarkar tried, but after 47, basically Congress completely destroyed it, Congress and the left. So if anything could bind us together, that was destroyed, right? And that is where we must bring the thing back. Otherwise, the billionaires, imagine if today there is a Harvard scholar who can prove that Hindus are oppressed and all that, and he's celebrated in
his funding will be gone.
I couldn't hear your last point.
I said his funding will be gone and no Hindu billionaire will fund him.
Or ulta bhi ho sakta. If he gets awards and stuff in Harvard and whatnot, if he take over that thing on a government level or something, I don't know how. I mean, this is the last thing that BJP has done for the last 10 years. They working in academics. But if they ever did it, then once you can establish using baby steps, of course, that the narrative is there. Some scholars are there who are credible and who are saying that yes, Hindus have faced oppression in in many ways. Then you will notice these Anand Mahindra and all, they will fund those guys, but they will not fund anyone who is not in Harvard and stuff. So the same thing comes around, right? Like you can be an excellent practitioner of Hinduism, you might know every text or whatever. It's not possible, but you might know the core text by heart and stuff. You might be able to recite the Vedas and stuff. That doesn't matter. Anand Mahindra जब पैसा निकालेगा वो हार्वर्ड और स्टैनफोर्ड के लिए ही पैसा निकालेगा, right? And that's the whole issue here.
And knowing Hindu texts by heart, how much that is effective, we know that in West Bengal already. वो जान के भी क्या उखाड़ लेगा, we know. And I just want to point out something Anand Sridhar has said here, that it wasn't that atomized also. The point is there is enough meat there to build a unified structure. This is a very important point. That the famous argument that by Commie is that there was no Hinduism before 1947 or before Puranas. There was no India before 1947. So, which Chhatrapati Shivaji kind of diagnosed the problem and tried to solve it, and his appeals fell on deaf ears basically. Listen to this paragraph. I'll tell you who it's by in what context later on, but see that it's basically the same argument we are giving, that it does not have to be that we are completely in friends. I mean, every Bengali is sucking the dick of every non-Bengali everywhere and vice versa, and there's love and camaraderie going everywhere. No. उतना प्रेम necessary नहीं है एक unified country बनाने के लिए. कुछ थोड़ा बहुत चाहिए. That is enough, and that is a legit enough justification to ask for a country or to claim that this is a country we have and this will go on forever, and no state or portions will be given away just because the people want it there, as Arundhati Roy said to Karan Thapar. Listen to this paragraph. From this summary of what has taken place in other countries whose situations have borne the nearest resemblance to our own, what reason can we have to confide in those reveries which would seduce us into an expectation of peace and cordiality between the members of the present confederacy in a state of separation? Have we not already seen enough of the fallacy and extravagance of those idle theories which have amused us with promises of an exemption from the imperfections, the weaknesses, and the evils incident to society in every shape? Is it not time to awaken from the deceitful dream of a golden age and to adopt as a practical maxim for the direction of our political conduct that we, as well as the other inhabitants of the globe, are yet remote from the happy empire of perfect wisdom and perfect virtue? This is Alexander Hamilton writing in the context of maintaining the American Union intact in 1788. Even though they got their independence in 1776, England surrendered in 1781. By 1788, the anti-federalists are claiming that what's the point of this one unified country? It's going to be too centralized and too dictatorial. So why not have 13 different countries, or at least one country called North USA, one country called East USA, etc., like that? And Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison is convincing with their Federalist Papers that no, we have to keep it one single country, and these are the reasons. One of the reasons is this, that there's never going to be endless friendship and stuff and love, etc., but you have something in common, and you have to stay united for that. Because, and the list of because are the topics are the main topic of the rest of the book. And there's another point I want to ask you about, is that it's not exactly related to our topic here, but what M. Shastri has asked 2 times now, that how much do we now care about accountability of academics? Can we really do anything about this, that academics getting things wrong blatantly and moving on simply?
If we were able to do what the Jews are doing right now, where they bring down powerful academics to their knees through legislation and all that, then perhaps it makes sense. But do we have a Hindu legal cell banane mein itna saal lag gaya? My point is that we don't have the ability to wo 10 years sunte 70 saal ho gaya. My point is that do we have the ability to do it yet? I don't think so. Till you see, the biggest problem here is what we also don't understand is Israel बनने में ना अमेरिका का भी हाथ था. Okay, I mean it didn't happen out of nowhere, right?
But it was because of the Jewish billionaires in USA, and
who
also
were dedicated to their cause,
right?
Who were dedicated to that cause. More important,
and Israel's own capability to supply surveillance and data from the entire Middle East.
Yes,
these 2 factors.
Now these 2 factors work. Now look at us. Look at how not only do like America and all the powerful nations, they don't give a damn about us anyway. Give a damn matlab kya? हमको जितना खराब दिखा सकते हैं, that works. On top of that, our own country funds research against us. Our own state matlab, when I say Indian state governments, who have a ton of money, by the way, for various rubbish projects, they themselves are funding crores of rupees to do research against us.
And you should give the example of my school political science teacher, without naming him, of course, but at least name the organization.
I don't even remember his
state
name.
his
That's
bio.
a good thing.
Yeah, good
precisely.
Thing,
So I know, and like there are many such people who are openly abusing Hindus, who are doing stuff against Hindus, who are getting UGC grants for PhD postdocs. Foreign
name that organization where my school political science teacher is.
Organization I don't remember, but that person you were talking about has a postdoc from ICSSR, Indian Council.
He is right now in ICCSR only, in that organization.
Yeah,
only.
he's researching there as a researcher, right?
Yeah.
Now my point is that this,
and he openly says he's a Marxist.
Yeah, on his bio you have Lenin, Stalin, all these people. Now not Stalin, but Lenin and all Marx and all that. And my point is, you're the one state that apparently we have, okay, its laws. Jo Anand Ranganathan ne bola hai, Anand Ranganathan, why do you think that book is such a hit right now? It's because Anand Ranganathan said what needed to be said, that we are 8th class citizens in our own country, so called, right? And hence we have no power yet to actually challenge academia. To chhod do. In your own country, you are unable to fund research that is good for you. So how do you maneuver this field right now? As individuals, how do you do it? You read the left. You read enough to see where the left has defeated its own arguments, and then you use the left against the left. That's what you can do, I guess. That's one strategy to go about it. right?
Anand is saying, I don't
Hindu
understand your
Vichardhara,
point. Anand,
Hindu
think of.
Vichardhara does a very good job of this, where she said that use the left sources to defeat the left.
Yeah.
I agree with her points there.
Yeah. So Anand, think of why a sociologist who has the credentials, who is quoting Marxist sources only, still has to come on my podcast with a hidden face anonymously. Think where we are in the game. What about this super chat here? What if Kolkata was made union territory and joined rest with Jharkhand? I think guess Odisha, Bharat. I don't know what the rest of the words are,
Bihar, I
but
guess.
would
Bihar.
would this be that big of a deal? Because I don't think the problem exactly is just Kolkata. It's probably entire West Bengal's population.
Like, Kolkata is one tiny part of West Bengal, na? Why do you guys say Kolkata? West Bengal, if it's made into a unit, I don't know. I don't want Neerajan to go to jail. My
Hmm.
point is that agar ban jata hai, if it's there, then well, I all I can say is it had to be done in Kashmir, right? Kashmir had to be turned into a union territory to control it, right?
Hmm.
So think
Yeah.
about what happens in Calcutta, in West Bengal, more importantly.
Yeah.
So
So
that's where your
okay,
answer lies.
Abhay has also gotten our point. It seems. So another point I wanted to make in the very beginning, but it's kind of our the end of our live stream now. So something funny happened. Have you checked out our last day's live stream of Max Weber's book? Do check it out. We again find
I
out
was checking it out. Yeah. Hmm.
insane RSS talking points from Max Weber. So there, M Shastri and Nandish Hegde, our viewer here, were
Yeah.
reading it alongside with me. Okay, with their PDF version of it. Now
Oh,
they had
okay.
a version from Illinois University or something, and I was
Oh,
reading some by someone called Dev Publishers of Delhi.
huh.
One whole paragraph is missing from their version. Okay, a paragraph where Max Weber says something which will destroy any excuse to convert Hindus forever and after. He says there's no concept of so getting inside Hinduism, so there's no concept anyway. We know there's no way to
Yeah.
exactly convert into Hinduism, at least conceptually. Maybe legally you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's saying there's no concept of even leaving Hinduism. If you want to really follow Christianity, you can even by remaining absolutely Hindu. And that paragraph is missing in their versions of the religion of India. Can you
वाह
believe
वाह
this?
वाह वाह मोदी जी वाह, ये हिपोक्रेसी की भी सीमा होती है. Now my point is that देखो, मैं तो वही बोल रहा हूँ ना कि you have to understand that why the West wins, because the West has still now, and even now, controls the means of communication. They realized it. They did a
Hmm.
Gramsci themselves. They were like, bhai, we have to मैट्रिक्स फिल्म बनाते हैं खुद, करते हैं मैट्रिक्स खुद.
Yeah,
हाँ.
yeah.
So this is why I love the US. They show what bad things are and then they do it themselves. Fight Club दिखा के capitalism के against, and then they sell Fight Club merch on whatever. So
Yes.
that's the whole point, that they are able to do this. Now it's all about selling this thing, right?
Yeah.
It's about selling your identity. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's how it works.
Right.
The
Yeah,
the
and
left
these
has
things
done it.
these things sound very beneath us and almost immoral, amoral. That's the problem. But they are playing an immoral game and going on winning. Manjushri Hegre. Okay, I'm sure I'll look into her.
And
Hindus.
therefore the
Yeah, go
bigger
on.
point here is that why I don't think that, sometimes I feel that the Mahabharata and Ramayana were written at such good times relatively, that
Hmm.
some of their strategies may not work. And why I'm
Hmm.
saying this
Hmm.
is, who's the worst guy in the Mahabharata?
Yeah, that's an important point. We discussed this over the phone.
Yes, who was the worst guy in Mahabharata? The Duryodhan, Dushasan, right?
Hmm.
Now Duryodhan and Dushasan do horrible things, but they have to do it like they have to either hide while doing it, or they have to kind of, they're like, people around them aren't comfortable with what they're doing, right? They're like, Dushasan, you shouldn't have done this, but they can't speak out loud. So and anyway, they get killed in the end.
Hmm.
The belief system of the people who are attacking Hindus, their belief system says actually to attack, if you attack these people who are idolaters, it's actually a very good thing.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no consensus about who's the villain in Mahabharata as well.
Okay,
But at least even Ravana.
jo bhi ho, they are bad.
Ravana, a
Everyone says
villain,
they are bad.
our villain is a devout Shiv Bhakt. Writes
Yeah,
the Shiv Tandav Stotram, knows Vedas by heart. So I don't think the ancients fathomed evil like we are witnessing today.
yeah. They couldn't think of people who think that somebody, killing somebody is a good thing. They didn't think of it. Killing a innocent, helpless person is a good thing. No, but none of our texts think of such a guy. Even the guys who thought that killing a guy was bad, they got retribution in the end. They were shown to be suffering, right? They were defeated very
Yeah.
badly.
Yeah.
Now look at people whose ideology says that killing somebody is actually good,
You must.
right? And you get benefits if you kill somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now how do you deal with people who think like that? You can't think with Mahabharat logic here. You can say that shastra uthao and all that stuff. All that is fine, but they change the game. That these thought processes change the game. That's why Nietzsche is so important. There are very, very basic important differences between the thought processes of that dominate the world today and the thought processes that dominated the world in ancient times, right? When our Mahabharata and Ramayana were actually composed or even edited, Jobio, the thought processes were fundamentally quite different. So वही difference है, ये जो difference है Nietzsche talks about it, because Nietzsche looks at these as fundamentally very different forms of thought. That's why using our thought processes to defeat a thought process that is so different from our own is so difficult, because those guys were built to destroy our thought process. Remember that.
Yeah. See, Rudra and M. Shastri are pointing out that Ravana is not even the villain exactly, but now we have a villain. And I think I pretty much agree with you, because something is fundamentally different about the adversary we have today. Because almost every other policy that we can think of, liberalism, atheism, etc., global citizenship, etc., most of these could have worked. Today, everything could have flourished, except for the fundamental problems created by just that one adversary.
Yes.
So I think there is something absolutely distinct about them, and therefore we must have absolutely distinct solutions for them. We can't depend on tried and tested formulas for other adversaries. It is a completely different ballgame.
Exactly. And this podcast is brought to you by something else. Anyway,
Yeah.
So so that's the whole point. And why
Yeah.
I said social justice is important is because the game is about social justice. It's about winning. Okay,
Yeah.
it's you have to, until you win, you can't. ये जो अभी Kushal is bringing Barkha Dutt on his show, जो भी हो, Barkha Dutt would herself never go to a guy like Kushal's show. Okay, that 10 years से so-called Hindus are in power, so-called, why Kushal Mehra is important and why Barkha Dutt is going to Kushal show. It's not Kushal. Bhai, jo bhi ho, Barkha Dutt.
And even Abhijit Iyer Mitra has gone to Barkha Dutt's podcast already, and now Barkha Dutt is on Kushal's podcast.
No, it doesn't matter. My point is, why do we keep debating about, all these things? Dekho, Barkha Dutt, again, you have to understand, Barkha Dutt is a very powerful person. She's not just some random YouTuber. Okay. Now, if they are also ready to maybe not even collaborate, but acknowledge the existence of Hindutva, it's because some power has shifted in that direction. But power shift होके खुश होने से कुछ नहीं होगा, वो 240 हो जाएगा. Okay.
Yeah.
Building toilets won't get you the ideological edge you need.
Yes.
That's the main point.
Yes. And people's memories are short. M. Shastri is saying something interesting here, that you guys are falling for the trap. You are defining the adversary in the West term rather than our terms. I don't think that's a fair statement, because you see what the West is facing today, we have faced 1300 AD onwards. So they are just late to the party. हमने थोड़ा बहुत survive भी कर लिया है. So our adversary is the same at different points in the chronology, I think.
Precisely. Chalo. Anyway.
Any important comments? Let's
Yeah, any
just check.
questions and all, anything we might want to
He's saying,
discuss?
Dada, forget everything. We have to research epistemology, state of nature, and philosophy of the shamelessness to overcome this. I have come to understand that perfectly. Thank you. Same way, was Kaikeyi a villain? This is actually a very important point, that from her perspective, Kaikeyi was not a bad person because she was protecting her son's future. Rama understands this and still leaves without any hate for her. We can't afford this today with our adversary. Hindus of today have fallen to the Abrahamic us versus them morality, and now they are framing even their own philosophy and itihasa from that lens. Yes, that is the hand we have been dealt with. M. Shastri is saying,
Karna
why are
padega,
the people
bhai.
banned?
We have
Not
to
because
sometimes, to survive. Perhaps the one lesson you can take from Mahabharata is sometimes you gotta play that game. You don't want to fight, but you gotta pick up the whatever it is to do to win the
yeah,
war, right? So
yeah. And why Barkhadat coming to Kushal Mehra is good. We kind of touched upon this in our membership live stream today already. Another big gain is that, remember the idea of destroying their idols, them not having any
precisely,
rallying points, them not having anyone to look
precisely,
up to, them not having any leaders. Appropriate every fucking one. We can have discussions
exactly,
after they come into the fold. We can have different sects of Hindutva even, but first and foremost, baseline is Hindutva.
precisely, precisely.
Okay, then. Thank you for joining, guys.
Hello.
Thank you for the beautiful comment section
Yep.
we had. Thank you, Professor Christoph lies a lot. Hope you keep
Yep.
lying a lot. Thank you for joining, guys. Bye bye. Good night.
श्रवरूढं महाभीमं गुणाद्रष्टाङ्गरप्रदम् अस्य युक्तं त्रिनेत्रं च कपालकर्णिकाकरा मुक्तकेशीं ललज्जयः पिबन्तीं रुधिरं चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् काली काली महाकाली कालिके पापहारिणी धर्मर्थमोक्षदे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते धर्मर्थमोक्षदे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते काली काली